Greetings, my lords and my ladies. Welcome to another episode of Chronicles of the Immortals, where we uncover stories of our beloved heroes. And tonight, I will tell you the tale of Isabella of Castile, the queen who forged Spain. What does it take to forge a nation? To take a land fractured by centuries of war and weave it into an empire. It requires a will of iron, a vision that pierces the horizon, and the courage to bet everything on a single, daring throw of the dice. This is not the story of a king, but of a queen. This is the story of Isabella of Castile. Isabella was born into a world of chaos. The Iberian Peninsula was the chessboard of varying Christian kingdoms. While the powerful Emirate of Granada held the south, her own kingdom, Castile, was weakened by corrupt nobility and a half-brother king, Enrique IV, who couldn't control his own court. Isabella was not the heir anyone expected. From the sidelines, Isabella watched the decay. She saw that power without direction was meaningless, and she began to make her own moves. She defied her brother's attempts to marry her off for political convenience, secretly aligning herself with a more strategic partner, Ferdinand, heir to the neighboring kingdom of Aragon. This was her first great gamble, a union not just of two people, but of two crowns. When her brother died, Isabella immediately claimed the throne of Castile, plunging the kingdom into a war of succession. She and Ferdinand fought, not from distant places, but from the saddle. She was a constant presence to her soldiers, a queen who shared their hardships. Her force of will was her greatest weapon. And she won. With the crown of Castile secured and united with Aragon through Ferdinand, the modern nation of Spain was born. But for Isabella, unification was only the beginning. Her next goal was the total reconquest of Iberia. For 10 long years, she directed and bankrolled a war of attrition against the Emirate of Granada. She didn't just command, she revolutionized warfare. She created Europe's first standing army and established a professional military force, the Santa Hermandad, to fund it and keep the peace at home. The war was her personal project, her crusade. In 1492, her persistence paid off. The last Muslim ruler in Spain surrendered. The Reconquista was complete. As her banners flew over the Alhambra, Isabella knelt in the dirt, not in triumph, but in prayer. She had achieved what centuries of kings could not. Spain was whole. In 1492 was a year of contradictions, showcasing both the light and darkness of Isabella's reign. To enforce religious unity, she and Ferdinand established the Spanish Inquisition, a dark stain that would unleash centuries of persecution. Yet, in that very same year, she listened to a madman's dream. While her advisors scoffed, Isabella saw potential in Christopher Columbus's plan to reach the Indies by sailing west. Her treasure was empty from the war, the risk was astronomical, but her faith and her ambition aligned. She bet on the unknown. She gave him the ships, the funding and her royal authority, It was her third and greatest gamble. When Columbus returned, he brought news not of Asia, but of a new world. In a single stroke, Isabella's Spain exploded from a unified peninsula into a global empire. Wealth beyond imagination flooded into Spain, financing a golden age of art and culture. But this too came with a terrible cost: the enslavement and devastation of native populations, a complex legacy that Isabella herself would grapple with in her final years. Isabella of Castile died in 1504, leaving behind a nation transformed. She was a paradox, a devout crusader and a ruthless politician, a unifying force and a source of deep division, a queen who looked inward to purify her kingdom and outward to discover a new world. She was not always right. Her methods were often severe, but her impact is undeniable. She took a fractured collection of kingdoms and through sheer force of will forged them into a single, powerful nation that would dominate the world stage for centuries. She was the architect of modern Spain, the queen who bet on a united kingdom, a finished crusade and a new world, and in doing so, changed history forever. Thank you for watching and see you again in the Infinity Kingdom. Bye bye.